Recently, we were contacted by a group out of the Netherlands who are looking to build a Formula One track there in the city of Almere called Race Park Almere. And hopefully I said that right. And hopefully Almere is a city and not just a province. I don't really know. Americans, I'm sorry. Anyway, normally when I hear something with new track and F1, I don't give it much thought because in recent history, we've learned that to get a track built and actually on the F1 schedule is extremely difficult and extremely expensive, and many with very, very deep pockets have failed. So when I first read it, I kind of wrote it off, but there was one element that got me interested in why we have this video today, and that's the fact that besides just coming up with different renderings of what the track would look like and layout, etc., this group has gone one step further and created a virtual model that you can drive in Assetto Corsa. So they asked me and us to go and drive the track and give input and what we thought of it. So that is exactly what we are doing today. Sim racing chassis in this video is the Next Level Racing GT Ultimate featuring the new motion platform V3. Learn more at nextlevelracing.com. So here we are at Race Park Almere, looking very nice there up on the pit paddock. Here in Assetto Corsa, this is a modded track as previously mentioned. Since we're in Assetto Corsa and this is going to be an F1 track, decided to go and fire up the Ferrari F1 car, the 2015 edition. Apologies to you Max Verstappen fans who'd rather see me drive in the Red Bull. That is not part of content in Assetto Corsa, so in the red Ferrari we go, but not a bad way to do so. So, with that said, let's set off down pit road, and gonna break this up into two different sections. Gonna first talk about the things that I really do like about the track. Then going to talk about some things that I don't care for as much and would like to change. So that's how we will do it. So just went past the turn 1, 2, 3 complex, very similar to Spain, into turn 4, which is a very quick corner that should be flat out if you have your setup tune. Maybe not for us today. Turn 5 into the infield here. And here we get a good glimpse of the massive front grandstands, which is the first thing that I do like about this design. I think it's really clever to build a track in between two massive grandstands, as now we look at the massive two back grandstands. It just makes sense. I mean, you're going to build a new track, design it so that people can come and see the cars for more than 10 seconds. I mean, I've gone to road course races like at Mid-Ohio, and here they come, and then there they go, and then you wait around for them to come by again, and it's not a lot of fun. I mean, that's why some people just decide to stay home and hang out on their couch with their big-ass HD TVs. So, if you're going to build a new track, go ahead and make it so you can actually see the cars. I think that is a smart idea. So here we go, entering kind of the secondary backstretch right behind the pit paddock. You can see the team haulers that are set up and that show up to the European rounds as expected. Going into this highly banked corner, which I'll touch on later, but as you see, a whole lot of banking. And now back again, facing the backstretch fans and into this super quick and difficult right-hander. So something else that I do like about this circuit, and not that chicane thing I just went through, touch on that later, is that it has grass on all sides, which is really nice. I know it's kind of been put a halt on due to FIA regulations. You look at something like a Circuit of Americas that has so much runoff, and that kind of stinks, but I do think this is a place where track designers should push back on, and maybe the FIA will come to accept as more and more people complain about it. that all this runoff is just, it doesn't make the racing hard when you just race right off the track. There's got to be consequences. So I always like the Will Buxton idea where you go and you put about, I don't know, 5 feet of grass so that if a car runs off the racing surface, they're punished. But then if they go too far or spin, then they have blacktop on the backside of that grass to lock down the brakes on. I always like that concept, and kind of see that concept here, even though I will say through this tight infield section, a lot of times on the other side of that grass is a wall. So yeah, that might be a little interesting if you're trying to go and get a track layout like this approved by the FIA. But still, I like the effort of having the grass here and not just saying, we'll just pave it all. Something else I also like as we head over this crest is the elevation changes. There is a ton of elevation change here, and it makes it really fun and challenging, like corners like this, where you go uphill and then on the other side you're downhill. It also creates blind corners, which, even though this one right here isn't the easiest to navigate, it does make it more entertaining. I mean, this last corner here, this uphill drive, is pretty fun. Slow down here and look at the front stretch paddock. Pretty normal stuff. A 2-tier design. Some of the images that they have up on the website show it's almost like 2 levels of more executive suite style seats. As we again go through the first sector, not a very long lap around here, which I don't think is a bad thing. I'm a big fan of the Red Bull Ring and a shorter lap. So let's go on to the last thing that I like about this track before I go and open it up here and see if I can't turn a quick lap or two. And that's just, it is a lot of fun to drive. And this section right here is so much fun. It reminds me a lot of Barber Motorsport Park here in the US, which was designed as a bike circuit for people to just kind of come out and enjoy driving. Not really racing on, even though the IndyCar series does race there now. And this has a similar feel where it's really fun to tackle these corners. And speaking of US tracks, that 3 apex turn reminds me a lot of Circuit of the Americas. When I come over this crest here, again, elevation good. I give it a little bit of a courtesy lift there. Again, once the car is really set up, full blast around this corner. A lot of fun, a lot of G's, and then this corner, as I almost lose it. It comes up quick. And back out of the hole. And here there are rumble strips somewhere. There they are. Yeah, that's a bit challenging. Not my favorite part. But let's go ahead and see if we can run something a little bit of anger. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, try to keep it tidy. A little too much curb. Let's see how quick we can go through here. Courtesy lift. Down a couple gears and into a tight infield. This corner is a lot of fun. Swing out wide, you gotta get it back across the track and on the brakes to head up the hill. Very blind into that corner. Tight left-hander over the crest, and then track actually runs off, whoop, missed it a little. Track runs off to the right there. Really easy to mess up, as I did. Here we go, 3 apex corner. And then quickly on the brakes for this critical left-hander as you go on a pretty long stretch of road here. Car gets loose. Up in the 7th gear, we are cruising. And now hit the brake now. And the car gets all sorts of loose. We fight up out of the hole. And then here, hopefully, there's the curb. Down the hole, up. Not a lot of brake, mostly just gassing out of there. Trying to put the power down with all that elevation change. Let's go ahead and make another lap. I will say, this is an exhilarating lap. A lot of pressure on the driver here. Because you can really push the car. And if your car is a handful, this will not be fun. There we go, locking up the right front a little. Trying to put the power down, keep my line a little tighter. Get me ready for this corner. Over the crest, power down, back on the brake. Try to keep it nice and tight around the curbs. This is where I want to be as the track now moves off to the right. Oh, I missed the apex. Such a tough corner. Into this 3 apex neck bender. Into this left-hander, again, ran wide, easy to do. Hit this little patch they give you. Oof. Car always gets so loose there. Into the banking, full blast, lots of fun. And quickly, brake a little earlier this time. There's my apex, gas, gas, gas. And here we go, out of the hole. Down a couple gears, there's the curbing. Out wide, not a lot of brake, pushing, pushing. And there we go. As I hit the grass. Again, grass on the side of the road, very cool. That is a couple flying laps around Race Park Almere. And hopefully I'm staying that close to right. You guys let me know. So let's slow things down a little bit, and now I want to talk about a few of the things that I don't care for. So, first off, this track is amazingly windy, which, while very, very fun, is very challenging for overtaking, if I had to guess. It moves around a ton. So, I'm gonna make some recommendations of some turns that I would change to more or less keep the feeling of this track there, but to just kind of, you know, create a couple passing opportunities, because we want to see overtaking, and even though the F1 cars are getting more downforce on them and people are worried about the cars, I still feel like a high downforce series could have a little more overtaking. I mean, look at IndyCar. So first off, I want to talk about this guy right here. So even though this is a somewhat fancy track, or a track that would like to be approved as an FIA track, this corner would never make it. The FIA says that you can't have banking greater than 10 degrees. So this corner, it's got to get taken down 10 degrees. The banking's fun, but I mean, if you guys remember the 2005 USGP at Indianapolis and Michelin's issues with the banking in the oval turn 1, yeah. Banking, not a friend of the tire constructors, so 10 degrees is the limit. The next change I would make is eliminating this bus stop chicane here. I mean, there's no reason for the track to go take off like it does. I would just go and straight line this. I love the elevation change. I think the elevation change of going up and then down is a ton of fun. And I think that would really make this last corner very challenging and set up very well for the changes that I'm going to talk about in turn 1. So, I don't like this right, left, right combo. Spain has it, and you see about 2 passes a race every year. It just doesn't work. If I was them, I would take this out here, and then I'd put in essentially what they currently have in turn 1, which is a 3rd gear turn, and then I would have it straight line out here back onto the road. So get rid of the whole 1, 2, 3 turn combo. Just make it a single turn, kind of like, I would do something kind of like what Road America has in their first turn, just maybe make it a little tighter for F1 cars to make them go down to third gear. So if I was going and applying a gentle redesign to this track, I would go and make those changes. I keep this infield section pretty much the same because even though you really can't pass through here, I mean, it'd be extremely difficult. It does have some really fun flow, and elevation changes are a lot of fun. So this would definitely be the challenging driver-car combo section where you really do get to see who's the fastest, who's producing some really great aero through this infield section. But some of the other sections, as I missed the corner, we'll end it here. Hopefully Ben & Jerry's comes on as a sponsor. Some of the other corners, I think, could be improved to make this a better experience. As I go and stand up and see what it's like when I beach the car out here on the track. So let's now get out of VR and talk a little bit more about what I would do in a, let's say, bigger overhaul of this track. So welcome to the last portion of this video, and this is my look at what I would do with Race Park Almere. So on the left you see the very nice illustration of what the team currently has together for the track layout, and on the right is my extremely poor Photoshop skills version of the same track, but with now my changes. So as you see here, you'll see some of the changes that I already spoke to while I was driving the car, talking about some of the different adjustments I would make, changing up the turn 1, 2, 3 complex to just a single right-hand turn, and also cleaning up the very end of the lap and getting rid of that chicane and some of that silliness. So what I've done here is I feel like I've captured the idea in terms of the design of having the two different sections of seating and putting a track in between. So I've kept that, and I've also kept some of the major straightaways and kind of the general shape and idea of the track. But primarily I focused on changing up the infield section that I thought was, although awesome to drive, a little bit too twisty for overtaking, because I love overtaking, as anyone does obviously, but I feel like most tracks these days, looking at you, Tilka tracks, they always have these, the road just always tends to move slightly left or right before a great overtaking spot. And I don't like that. So I've gone ahead and eliminated that silliness and created a track that I feel like should improve overtaking. So let's get straight to it. And as you see in turn 1, I've gone and just made it into a simple right-hand turn. My inspiration for this turn is turn 1 at Road America. I want it to be very similar to that, except maybe a bit tighter for F1 cars. Really want to see that be a third gear turn, so when they race off the line at the beginning of the race, it creates a focal point where you really have to be on your stuff to make a very entertaining first turn and first lap. Going on to turn 2 and keeping turn 2 very similar to the current turn 4. Really want that to be a flat out sweeper. It's all about building speed to get onto the back stretch. Now, in the original design, the back stretch leads into a very sweeping turn 5, which because of its high speed isn't really set up well for passing. Well, I decided to go and make that backstretch area right in front of the grandstands, give them their money's worth, and make it an overpassing situation. So I've put a bus stop chicane on the back stretch. Now, even though I don't like chicanes, I do love bus stop chicanes. And this is very similar to what you see at Watkins Glen and also the Daytona road course. But I want it to be a little bit tighter, especially Daytona. Daytona can go through there pretty quick in a prototype, and in a Formula car, you go through there real quick. Kind of same can be said about Watkins Glen. So this is a tighter version of bus stop chicane, but that run from turn 1 to turn 3 should give plenty of time to build speed and to create a heavy braking zone, or at least heavier braking zone, into turn 3 and create overtaking possibilities. Now, once you get out of the bus stop chicane, you're set up with a couple of right-hand turn complex, and this is based off kind of like the Lesmos at Monza, where you go out of the bus stop chicane and then you have a quick, fairly tight right-hander, and then followed up by an even tighter turn 8. And the idea here is if maybe you overtake someone into turn 3, well, you're probably carrying more speed and you're offline, which is going to make getting through turn 4, 5, and 6 more challenging, which then makes the person that was overtaken, gives them an opportunity to come back on the inside of you coming out of turn 6 into turn 7. We see this very similar thing at Watkins Glen with their bus stop. Once you get out of the bus stop, you quickly go into a right-hander, and this is a similar design, so that right-hander is a bit tighter and doesn't have as much banking. So go through turn 7, go through turn 8, and then we get into the infield section, and here there is a whole lot of corners in the original design, so I've simplified this a bit. Once you get out of turn 8, the track kind of goes and meanders, and it's about building speed into the 9-10 complex. And the 9-10 complex reminds me a bit of Phillip Island in Australia and Bahrain turn 10, which is obviously on the F1 schedule, and that is where you go uphill into turn 9, and then the track starts to head downhill to the left, and then it gets really downhill and really tight into a tight left-hand turn 10. So that's the idea right there, that a car can be chasing one another out of 8, build speed, get to the crest of the hill at 9, and then you dive down into 10. And even though ideal line you would swing out to the right to make the left-hand corner, it then opens up the inside, so a car trying to overtake another car can then go and dive down the inside and really try to make that move stick into turn 10. But it's not done there, because right after that really tight turn 10, very much like Bahrain, is a long straightaway that goes through the middle on the back side of the paddock, and that gives an opportunity for that car to come back with the better line and gas it up and come out from down in the hole that is turn 10 and go up over the rise, keeping the same rise that the current track currently has at turn 12, 13, because I really like that feature and it makes it harder to put the power down. Come out of that hole and speed down the backstretch and into turn 11, which, just like turn 14 in the current design, is a flat out corner, except now the banking is only 10 degrees per the FIA. And then it heads down into turn 12, which again, like the current layout, is downhill. I really like that. But I don't have it, I have it as a little bit of a slower corner. Turn 12 on my design, I'm thinking a little more like the hairpin at Montreal. Maybe not quite as tight, but still a very tight 180-degree right-hander. And you're going to be carrying a ton of speed from turn 10 through turn 11. And the thing is, turn 11 is going to be tight enough that you're really going to need to swing out towards the right and then cut back across the track to the left to be on line to go into the right-hander at turn 12, which then, again, creates another opportunity if a car is following and has a draft going to just shoot down the inside into 12. It's not the ideal line, but maybe you can shoot down there and force the other car out wide and then gas them out of 12. It's an uphill climb, just like with the current track. Obviously, no silly chicane, just a straight shot. It's going to be uphill. And then by the time you get about to turn 13, the track flattens out because uphill braking zones are kind of easier. You can go deeper, so I want to see that flatten out. And then, just like turn 1, turn 13 is inspired by Road America and essentially the very last corner at Road America. That right-hander where, again, it's probably about a third gear turn, and you really got to get it right to build speed up into turn 1. So that is my version of the Race Park Almere. So that will do it for our look at Race Park Almere. You know, it's probably unlikely, very unlikely, that this track will ever see the day of light, but I found this to be a really fun exercise to go and check out a potential real-world track that definitely has some real-world thought put into it, and then give my own inputs. And I really enjoyed the process, and it was a lot of fun. So at the very least, I hope you enjoyed the thought process behind, what it takes to create a good track, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you agree with the original design, or maybe you have your own idea, which is great. But whatever it is, please give your feedback to not only us, but also to the group that's making this track. And One way to do that a little easier besides just watching this video is you can go and you can download the track yourself and install it in Assetto Corsa. We have a link in the description where you can go and download the track. Please do that, check it out. Like I said, at a very least, when it comes to a fancy track, let's just call it fancy at this point, that's fun to drive, I mean, this track checks the boxes. I mean, it is a lot of fun to drive. So at the very least, it's got that going, so go ahead and download it and check it out. So, thank you for watching Inside Sim Racing. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Also, check out our website, isrtv.com, and click on the Amazon affiliate links in the description below. Click on the link, shop through Amazon, doesn't cost you a thing, and kicks a little bit back towards us. So, I'm John Sable. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my version of the track. Thanks for watching Inside Sim Racing. We'll see you guys next time.